Some of this is from the actual game floor, or show floor. Some of this is from the game shops that we went around Connecticut to pick up. So it's going to be a mix of both. I will try to kind of sort out which is which. Actually, I can do that as we go here. On the show floor, I got Demon's Tier for the Nintendo Switch. I got the full like Nintendo 64 style box for it with the retro edition. Came with some like character cards. This is a Gauntlet style game. So a little isometric action RPG. You rank up your character skills, collect loot, that kind of thing. I've been obsessed
never heard of this
with
game.
playing the Gauntlet arcade recently. And so it also came with a misprint of the sleeve, so I get to have that as well. I haven't actually opened it yet, but it looks freaking rad. So I had to pick that up directly on the show floor. I got some PS2 games here. Actually, there's a third. Picked up the original Teen Titans game for PS2. Doesn't look super great, but it looks like it'd be fun just to go back and try out. I never actually got to play this growing up. So pretty cool to play the OG Teen Titans. They don't get enough respect. I got Summoner 2. Nice little action fantasy RPG. Classic PS2 where there's just like all these games you may or may not have heard of in the fantasy aspect. And then with the PS2, I also have a PS1 game I want to highlight. I have officially completed my my Digimon World collection. Will's back, by the way. I officially completed my Digimon World collection. So I had 2 and 3 already. I now have Digimon World 1 on the PS1.
Oh, I have that as well.
I talked this dude down for it. He had a sealed, well, not a sealed, but like a copy that was minty fresh with the trading card, and he wanted 110 for it. But this one was next to it with the crack case. The book was kind of worn out. I was like, I don't really want to pay 110 for it. I don't really care about the trading card. So I think I talked him down to like 80 on this, which is still high, but not like, it's been hard to get a hold of this game. So that's the OG for the PS1. And then I also got the last one, Digimon World 4 for the PS2. So I now have all 4 Digimon World games. I can jump in, start playing. I've not played these in a couple years, but I remember loving the hell out of them, and they have been incredibly hard to collect for. Like, stupid hard.
I guess Pocket Monster related, or adjacent. There's one game that I have always been trying to find anytime I go to a retro show, and it's Monster Rancher. I remember renting that like every weekend, and I would just throw like a CD in trying to get like a rare monster out of it. And it wasn't until like years later I discovered how you could get like the rarest, most powerful monster. It was cool. You could, if you've never seen it, you played this game and then you generated new monsters with any CD that you put in your disk drive. But there was like a list of predetermined CDs that you could look up.
It was like the OG concept for that little scanners handheld one where you like
scan
the barcodes. Yeah. I played it once
very cool
as a kid, and I had a couple buddies who were obsessed with it, and I always wanted to play. I have also had difficulty finding it. Like, no one talks about it anymore, and I feel like it was huge back in the day. So,
of course, I would get attached to the one that's niche.
Also picked up a repro of King of Demons for the Super Nintendo. Cool little Metroidvania kind of thing.
Some of this stuff is limited run, right?
Yeah, actually, the Demons tier is from Special Edition Games, which is a publisher that's just doing that kind of thing. The box games are just repros that a booth seller would do. Just put on like the Sailor Moon carts were like custom little pink carts. This one's just like a fresh, counterfeit Nintendo cart, but it'll play on real hardware. Ironically, it has more trouble on fake Nintendo systems like the Retrons and stuff, but the Super Analog NT and the official SNES would work fine. I also got Pulse Man for the Sega Genesis. This was also not released in the West. Another repro, but
sorry, I was grabbing stuff from my.
You're good. Pulse Man for the win. Been dying to play this thing. What you get?
I was just saying, like, you want to go to a retro game show and just pick up overpay for a bunch of stuff that is old. Feel free.
And see, so I ended up in a funny situation where I had almost an entire suitcase to fill because my first flight was on the Southwest. They had they have this new budget tier that I didn't realize you're not allowed to carry on for. And so after I packed my carry-on, I'm like, oh shoot, I can't actually take it. And so I had to put it in my suitcase, which took up half of my suitcase. And so then I had all that to fill, and I ended up still being able to put my carry-on back into my suitcase with all the games that I bought. Like, I still could have bought way more than I did. But then I missed that first flight anyway. That was fun. On the PS3, I got Mobile Suit Gundam Crossfire. This looks like an awesome PS3 era Gundam game. I've played a lot of really bad ones, and I've played a lot of really good ones. And there's a new Gundam SD game that came out.
Which one is that again?
Crossfire? Mobile Suit Crossfire?
I think that might actually be the good one. I think.
It's
might
always
be the
a
good one.
toss-up. It's always
There's a bad one that's on PS3 that was really bad.
Yeah.
Like it was a launch game, and it was.
And there was another one that was like a Warriors-like game where the first and the third one were great, but the second one was terrible, and the second one was the one I picked up from GameStop. And to this day, it is one of the only games I have ever actually returned to GameStop for their like 30-day, if you hate it, you can return it. I returned that within 2 days. I was like, this is the worst game. But they have a new Gundam SD game out that's actually supposed to be really good. Like, it has the little chibi Gundams, but you also get the like full-size ones too somehow. And it's supposed to be really, really good, so I need to look into that. Got Time Crisis 4. Can't resist good old Time Crisis. Some of these are going to be from the shops we went to around the convention as well. I got Brave, Search for the Spirit Dancer on PS2. I was just kind of going for stuff that didn't have boxes and weren't worth a lot that I didn't have in my library that might be fun, because the PS2 has such a massive library. I got Agents of Mayhem for the Xbox. I don't even know if this is still playable because it's like an online-only game, but
It is still playable.
Okay.
They updated it so that you can play it. Just
looks like a
It's
Saints
okay.
Row-y, Crackdown-y kind of game. So
it is a perfectly okay game.
I got Lego Worlds, mostly to like try to play with my kid or something. It looks like a little. It looks like that Cube World game, but also Lego and Minecraft. So seems like an investment for my kid. We got a spammer in the chat. That's fine.
I'd take care of it.
I got the Terra trilogy, and these are always dumb, but it's basically like 3 kind of almost Atari era games where they're just like 2 colors. Looks fun. Going through a few more PS4 games here because they are super cheap. By the way, if you're looking for games right now, Xbox One and PS4 games are easy to get, which is kind of dumb because they're forward compatible, and so they're still playable games now, but they're being treated by like GameStop and stuff as last gen. So I went to GameStop to pick up some Millennium Falcon foam chargers that I got on super sale for like half off, and I had to go to 2 different GameStops, and in them they had 4 for 20 bins for PS4 and Xbox games. And so at both stores I had to pick out 4 games. And so I got the Terra trilogy you saw, and then I got Need for Speed Payback. I don't think I owned this yet, so I wanted to check it out. I know it wasn't very good from what I heard, but that's fine. I got Star Wars Squadrons, even though I don't know that I'll ever get PSVR, but
You don't have to play it with VR. In
Yeah.
fact, I would recommend not playing it in VR.
yeah. So there's that. They had a lot of PSVR games in there, so if you have one, you can get those super cheap now, but I don't see a point in investing in that. I'd rather get the new quests or whatever. I got Knack finally.
Oh, the
Hey!
best game!
Best game! Got the best game!
Oh, Knack!
I got Ghost Recon Wildlands. I never actually picked it. I might have it on Steam, but I'm more likely to play it like sitting down at a console. So I hadn't actually picked that up. And then this is out of the case for some reason, but I got Dissidia NT for the PS4. I know it's not as good as the PSP one, but I want to check it out.
It's not?
From what I heard at launch, it wasn't. It might be. I know a lot of people at launch were like kind of disappointed, but
I just learned something.
I love the hell out of Dissidia on the PSP. It is basically, for if you're not familiar, it's kind of like almost like Smash Bros or Tekken for Final Fantasy characters. Like, it's pretty wild, but this one has some like RPG elements to it too, but it's like a big, at least the one on the PSP was like a big cross, so you had like Lightning versus Cloud, and it'd be like a action fighter game.